This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, May 29th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning. Elon Musk officially exiting DOGE after he criticized the GOP budget plans.
President Trump says his back and forth on tariffs is what brought the EU to the table.
You call that chickening out?
I'm Richard Johnson.
It still doesn't feel real. It doesn't.
A reality TV couple in prison for tax fraud now pardoned by President Trump. I'm Bob Brown.
A court slaps down the Trump tariffs and a new setback for the SpaceX program. We'll have details.
On Wall Street, NVIDIA out with good quarterly results last night after the closing bell, and that could lift markets today. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Pigeons, not outside the plane, but on board. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Elon Musk says he's beginning the process of stepping down from his role as head of the Department of Government Efficiency. The move comes after he openly spoke out against the president's big, beautiful budget bill, saying it will increase the federal deficit. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO posted on X Wednesday night that his time as special government employee is coming to an end and thanked the president for the opportunity to cut down on wasteful spending. Musk has been the public face of DOGE since Trump signed an executive order establishing the office on the first day of his second term. DOGE has since worked its way through federal government agencies in a quest to identify and end overspending, corruption, and fraud. Trump talks tariffs, pardons, Israel, Iran, the big beautiful bill, and much more during a White House briefing with reporters. Details from correspondent Rich Johnson.
It started as a swearing-in ceremony for Jeanine Pirro as the new U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. But as often happens, it became a wide-ranging de facto news conference. And it started with some tension.
You call that chickening out?
The president took offense when a reporter asked his reaction to some Wall Street traders, reportedly now using the phrase taco. Trump always chickens out when it comes to tariffs. He cited the ongoing talks with the European Union.
They wouldn't be over here today negotiating if I didn't put a 50% tariff on. The sad thing is now when I make a deal with them, it's something much more reasonable. They'll say, oh, he was chicken. That's so unbelievable.
Trump was also asked about this comment from Elon Musk to CBS about the budget bill.
You know, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
We will be negotiating that bill, and I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it. That's the way they go. It's very big. It's the big, beautiful bill.
The president tried to say little when asked if he recently warned Israel against attacking Iran.
Well, I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did. Next question, please.
But later, he expanded on that call he had with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
I told him this would be inappropriate to do right now because we're very close to a solution.
Also Wednesday, Trump granted clemency to a dozen people, including one to former New York Congressman Michael Grimm.
I've always remained loyal, but I am over the moon, ecstatic. My body literally went limp when I got the news. I couldn't move. I was just elated.
Grimm pleaded guilty more than a decade ago to tax evasion charges. He's been a contributor for Newsmax and made those comments on that channel. The president also commuted the sentences of 3 people, including notorious Chicago gang leader Larry Hoover. He's been serving multiple life sentences for a long list of murder, drug conspiracy, and racketeering convictions. I'm Rich Johnson.
President Donald Trump signed pardons Wednesday for reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley, who were serving federal prison sentences after being convicted 3 years ago of bank fraud and tax evasion. Bob Brown has the story.
Disgraced reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley are coming home from prison early, not due to time off for good behavior, but because President Trump has decided to pardon the couple who were convicted in 2022 of fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government. Their daughter, Savannah, appearing on Fox News via Instagram, playing a key role in asking the president for help.
Well, I have shed so many tears. The president called me personally as I was walking into San Sam's Club and notified me that he was signing pardon paperwork for both of my parents.
I don't know them, but give them my regards.
It still doesn't feel real. It doesn't. I'm freaking out. So I'm going to go and prepare to go pick up my parents.
Savannah asking for a pardon when she met with the Trump family before the inauguration. The Chrisleys claimed they were prosecuted because they were celebrities. Savannah said a prosecutor referred to the family as the Trumps of the South. She says she proudly wears that as a badge of honor.
President Trump didn't just commute their sentences. He gave them a full, unconditional pardon. So for that, I am forever grateful.
I'm Bob Brown.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Sleep better with Sleep Number now during the Memorial Day sale. All smart beds and bases are on sale, plus free home delivery, exclusively at a Sleep Number store. Federal court judges rule on Trump's tariffs when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back, and thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning. On areas at risk for severe weather today, we check in with AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Today's severe weather risk looks to be rather expansive, again favoring the southern states as a front continues to hang over the region, and thunderstorms from southeastern Colorado and eastern New Mexico through west and central Texas, around the Red River, much of Arkansas, and into western Tennessee, and from the east side of the Houston metro across the central Gulf Coast and into far southern South Carolina and the northern half or so of Florida may all be able to produce strong winds and some hail today and tonight. This comes after Wednesday's storms brought a number of instances of large hail from southwestern Kansas into western Oklahoma and central Texas, even some localized wind damage. More general thunderstorms are also expected to develop in a number of places today as a rather busy weather pattern continues, with most of Oklahoma, southern Missouri, and a zone from central and northern Alabama through west central Virginia in line for at least some afternoon thunderstorms. Some less intense thunder showers can be expected by the afternoon for the northern Rockies and southern Idaho, as well as northern Kansas and the eastern half of Nebraska, along with points eastward to southern Minnesota and Wisconsin, Iowa, and around Chicago, with showers from lower Michigan, south and west to central Missouri. Showers can be expected as well from West Virginia and eastern Ohio across New England. However, areas farther to the north and toward the coast are more likely to have some lingering steadier rain and drizzle around to start the day before the precipitation tapers to those showers. By contrast, much of the west away from the coast has a warmer day in store today under sunshine before a heat wave sets in. In Tucson, Arizona, expect some sun today and a high of 98. For Charleston, West Virginia, any sunshine should be limited with a shower in the area and a high getting up to around 76. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A federal court rules that President Trump overstepped his authority over tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. A three-judge panel at the U.S. Court of International Trade, considered a relatively low-profile court in Manhattan, stopped Trump's global tariffs that he imposed, citing emergency economic powers, including the Liberation Day tariffs he announced April 2nd. The ruling halts Trump's 30% tariffs on China, hits 25% tariffs on some goods imported from Mexico and Canada, and the 10% universal tariffs on most goods coming into the United States. The administration immediately appealed the decision. In response, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller posted on X that the judicial coup is out of control. New issues for SpaceX after their latest attempt to launch a heavy booster and Starship rocket exploded shortly after takeoff. Details from correspondent Donna Warder.
Elon Musk's SpaceX launched its mega rocket Starship Tuesday evening, but the spacecraft re-entered the Earth's atmosphere out of control.
We are in essentially a tumble. We had lost that attitude control. We are at the phase where we would expect entry to start within the next minute or so. So we are entering uncontrolled, but again, we're entering into an airspace and a sea space that is cleared and monitored in advance of launch.
SpaceX later confirmed that the spacecraft had broken apart as it skimmed space toward the Indian Ocean. The more than 400-foot rocket blasted off from the southern tip of Texas on its 9th demo from the Starbase launch site. SpaceX had planned to release a series of mock satellites following liftoff, but that was scrapped when the door failed to open all the way. Musk said in a post on X that the flight was a big improvement from the 2 previous demos, which ended in flaming debris over the Atlantic, and he's promising a future launch pace of 1 every 3 to 4 weeks, at least for the next 3 flights. I'm Donna Warder.
Retailers celebrate new consumer confidence when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a down day yesterday for stocks. The Dow fell 240 points, and only the S&P 500 index is in the green for the year, and it's barely there, up just 0.1%. Some investors say a pullback is likely.
It's the long-term indicators that suggest we could go back to new lows. So it's just not a great risk-reward relationship right now for the S&P 500, for most individual stocks.
Fairlead Strategies market technologist Katie Stockton on CNBC. But NVIDIA reported better than expected quarterly results last night after the closing bell. That could lift the markets, at least for today. We'll see. Investors are hoping that NVIDIA can sell more AI chips to the Middle East as the U.S. cuts off some sales to China.
7 consecutive quarters of double beats, and here we have an 8th. I'm not surprised at all. And this was going to be one of the noisier quarters now, but second half is all about upside.
More insights. Patrick Moorhead on CNBC. Double beat just means more than experts thought for both earnings and revenue in the quarter. Macy's CEO says prices will have to go up as tariffs cut into profits. It's also cut its profit outlook for the full year, with tariffs and some discounting hitting the bottom line at the retailer. Macy's is moving to turn itself around. It's closing about 150 stores. But look at Abercrombie & Fitch. Shares soared 14% yesterday, even after the retailer slashed its profit outlook because of the Trump tariffs. Its revenue guidance still beat expectations. That brand is hot. And so far for retailers, consumers seem to be spending.
There's 40 million Americans that just are about to get a credit impact from the student loan debt. I mean, if you multiply that by the $500 a month that they haven't been having to pay, let's just see if that pushes through. But right now, the consumer's happy to spend on credit. Consumer's strong, and as long as 2/3 of the GDP continues to do that and everyone has a job, the economy will be in good shape.
Requisite Capital's Bryn Talkington on CNBC. Ford is recalling more than 1 million vehicles because of an issue with the rear view cameras, increasing the risk of crashes. On today's watch list, we get more earnings from more retailers like Best Buy, Bath & Body Works, Burlington Stores, Foot Locker, Kohl's, American Eagle Outfitters, Costco, Gap, and Ulta Beauty. We also hear from Royal Bank of Canada, Hormel Foods, and Dell Technologies. We find out how many people applied for unemployment benefits last week. And tonight, the Scripps National Spelling Bee Finals.
Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When America in the Morning returns, an unlikely foul stowaway on an airplane after these messages. It's 26 after. This is America in the Morning. A federal judge is weighing in on the Trump administration's effort to stop congestion pricing in New York City. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports for now, drivers will still have to dig deeper to travel into parts of Manhattan.
The program charges most passenger vehicles $9 during peak periods to enter Manhattan south of 60th Street. The goal is to reduce traffic and pay for subway and bus system upgrades. In February, the Trump administration rescinded federal approval of the program. The Transportation Department said it could withhold environmental approvals or project money if congestion pricing didn't end before a deadline that is now passed. This week, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from withholding the federal money, though. The judge's opinion said the Transportation Department had challenged plaintiffs to a game of chicken. I'm Clayton Neville.
You've heard of snakes on a plane, bats, mice, and even a flight delayed because of cockroaches. However, Lisa Dwyer reports on a chaotic delay involving a Delta Airlines flight and stowaway birds.
Pigeons, not outside the plane, but on board. Tom Caw captured the moment Saturday when a passenger on a Delta Airlines flight tried to capture a pigeon flying inside the plane as it prepared to depart from Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. Baggage handlers had already captured one pigeon inside the plane before it began to taxi away. But as the plane moved towards the runway, a second pigeon emerged. A passenger stopped that bird with his jacket. Delta says the flight was delayed a total of 56 minutes. Sound courtesy Tom Caw, TMX. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Thursday, May 29th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour,
President Trump says he issued a warning to Israel's leader.
Because we're very close to a solution.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
King Charles visits Canada and voices support for our neighbors to the north. I'm Clayton Neville.
Much needed infrastructure coming to the FAA. The U.S. to start aggressively revoking Chinese student visas, searching for the devil in the Ozarks, and the latest on a new COVID variant.
The 50th season of one of the biggest reality competition series has locked its cast. I'm Kevin Carr.
Two nuns in Brazil have gone viral after dropping an impromptu beatbox and dance session. I'm Ed Donahue.
Back after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning, and we're welcoming in summer-like heat to portions of the country. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Temperatures have been steadily rising in recent days across a swath of the West thanks to persistent high pressure building over the region. Now the high pressure will begin a strengthening process that allows temperatures to rise more dramatically in the coming days. For today, I expect 90s from California's Central Valley through many inland areas of northern and central California, Nevada, southern Oregon, and even far western Utah. Friday and Saturday should be the hottest days of this pattern, with triple-digit temperatures expected for some from California through the desert southwest, and the warmth extending as far east as central Montana and the Four Corners area, threatening daily records and raising that fire risk. In terms of the precipitation in the west, any showers or periods of steady rain and drizzle come to an end near the Pacific Northwest coastline by the afternoon, with a spotty thundershower around the northern and central Rockies. An afternoon thunderstorm may also develop around Denver, with the risk for severe thunderstorms the highest today from the I-25 corridor of Southern California through eastern New Mexico, the western Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle, and toward the Big Bend of Texas, then eastward through the Dallas and Little Rock metro areas, the central Gulf Coast states, and into southern Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, as well as northern Florida. These are all areas where storms may bring hail and damaging wind gusts into tonight. Otherwise, it's looking like a potentially active day for many in the eastern two-thirds of the nation, with a thundershower in spots from the Central Plains into northern Illinois, showers and thunderstorms across the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, a thunderstorm risk for the Carolinas and the Florida Peninsula, even some showers from West Virginia and lower Michigan through New Jersey. Some steadier rain is most likely from northern New York into New England for a time. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. In the Middle East, President Trump's envoy is working to put together a hostage swap and ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. This comes as aid is moving into the Gaza Strip, but the United Nations has condemned the new program started by the U.S. and Israel, and published reports say that the terrorist group is stopping Palestinians from getting to the aid. President Trump has issued a warning to Israel as the U.S. continues nuclear talks with Iran. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani files this report.
We're having very good discussions with them, and I said, I don't think it's appropriate right now. Because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. So no trust. I want it very strong where we can go in with inspectors. We can take whatever we want. We can blow up whatever we want, but nobody getting killed.
President Trump says he issued a warning to Israel's leader as the U.S. pushes for a nuclear deal with Iran.
We can blow up a lab, but nobody's going to be in the lab, as opposed to everybody being in the lab and blowing it up, right? Two ways of doing it.
The president says he told Benjamin Netanyahu to hold off on striking Iran while the talks continue.
Yeah, I told him this would be inappropriate to do right now because we're very close to a solution. Now, that could change at any moment, could change with a phone call. But right now, I think they want to make a deal, and if we can make a deal, save a lot of lives.
But for now, the president says he thinks Iran wants to reach a deal.
The jury is still out. We don't know whether there is going to be an agreement or not.
Top UN nuclear watchdog Rafael Grossi says the continuing negotiations are a good sign. The president says there can only be two outcomes.
We are doing very well with Iran, and I think we're going to see something very sensible, because there were only two outcomes. You know what the two outcomes is: a smart outcome and there's a violent outcome, and I don't think anybody wants to see the second.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
Work continues by the Department of Transportation at Newark Liberty International Airport to get it back up to speed following a combination of technical and staffing issues that's forced airlines to cut back on flights and left passengers with delays. Correspondent Julie Walker picks up the story.
The radar outages that disrupted flights at Newark Airport last month, which were captured in this live ATC.net air traffic controller transmission,
our scope shift went black again.
Could repeat at other airports, says Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who is trying to sell Congress on his plan to overhaul the nation's air traffic control system that comes with a price tag in the billions.
We are going to, in essence, gut the air traffic control system. And build it brand new, everything.
Duffy also says Newark has a new fiber line.
Verizon has laid a brand new fiber line between Philadelphia and New York. That was the troubled portion of the line. That's been laid. We're doing some of the connections right now, and then we have to test it. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but if everything goes well, and there can be problems when you test the line, but if it all goes well, we should be able to turn over to this new fiber line at the start of July.
They are training more air traffic controllers so the number of flights leaving can be bumped up from 28 an hour.
When the new runway comes online June 15th, we're going to bump that from 28 to 34. It's going to stay that way until October, until we bring these controllers up to speed and add them to the airspace. And when that happens, we'll do another evaluation and see how much, if any, we can increase those numbers.
I'm Julie Walker.
King Charles of England expresses his love for Canada in a rare visit to the Canadian Parliament, but stayed away from mentions of the United States by name. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
King Charles, the first British monarch in almost 70 years to preside over the opening of the Canadian Parliament. The trip came as President Trump threatened steeper tariffs on Canada and touts the idea of the country becoming the 51st American state.
There are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think, it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
During his speech this week, King Charles said that Canada is strong and free.
The system of open global trade that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for Canadians for decades, is changing. Canada's relationships with partners are also changing.
The king didn't mention President Trump specifically, but he did insist that Canada needs to find more reliable trade partners and a new relationship with America.
Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect.
President Trump posted on social media this week that Canada could be covered under his new plan for a golden dome to protect against attacks. He said it would cost $61 billion as a separate country, but $0 if Canada becomes the 51st state. Canadian leaders aren't backing off the notion that the country is not for sale. I'm Clayton Neville.
Revoking Chinese student visas. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirms the United States will start aggressively revoking visas of Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. This as President Trump has sought to ramp up deportations and revoke student visas as part of a wide-ranging effort to stem the tide of illegal immigration and anti-Semitism activities on college campuses. Rubio added that the State Department was revising visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future applications from China, including Hong Kong. It's been estimated that there are roughly 275,000 Chinese students in the United States, as well as professors and university administrators. The search continues in Arkansas's rugged mountains for a prison escapee and former police chief known as the Devil in the Ozarks. Here's the latest from correspondent Donna Warder.
Grant Hardin has been on the run since Sunday afternoon, when authorities say he impersonated a guard and walked out through the gate of the Calico Rock Prison, a medium-security facility. The Arkansas Department of Corrections says Hardin was dressed in clothing that didn't look like a standard inmate or correctional uniform. The guard opened the gate for him. Hardin has been serving time for murder and rape. His crimes were the focus of a 2023 documentary, Devil in the Ozarks. In 2016, he briefly worked as police chief in the tiny town of Gateway near the Arkansas-Missouri border. The family of the man Hardin killed in 2017 says they're alarmed by the escape. They testified against Hardin at his trial. Authorities have been searching rugged Arkansas terrain with canines, drones, and helicopters. I'm Donna Warder.
Americans have become much more suspicious as World Health officials say a new and more transmissible COVID variant is driving up cases both here in the U.S. and around the world. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
In the last several months, a COVID-19 variant called LP81 became the dominant version in the U.S. and around the world. But the World Health Organization is adding a new variant, NB181, to its watch list and says it may be driving an increase in cases. By mid-May, the new variant had reached nearly 11% of sequenced samples. It's been found in the eastern Mediterranean, Southeast Asia, and Western Pacific regions, and airport screening has detected it arriving in the U.S. Dr. Amy Edwards of Case Western Reserve University says NB181 does not seem to cause more severe illness, but it's spreading more quickly, and they're seeing a sharp uptick in hospitalizations in China and Hong Kong. Officials in Thailand point to that uptick as they explain a drop in foreign tourism since January. Current vaccines are expected to still be effective. I'm Jennifer King.
A judge has handed down lengthy sentences for human smugglers that left 11 people stranded in freezing weather at the U.S.-Canadian border. Here's Lisa Dwyer with more.
Harsh Kamal Patel, the convicted ringleader of an international human smuggling plot, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The driver who was supposed to pick the frozen group up, Steve Shand, was sentenced to 6.5 years. It's been more than 3 years since a family of 4 from India froze to death while trying to cross into the U.S. along the Canadian border in a blizzard.
I'm a lifelong Minnesotan. I would not go out in this weather.
Acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota, Lisa Kirkpatrick, says the smugglers did not care about their victims.
These defendants knew it was cold. In fact, they knew it was life-threateningly cold, but they didn't care. What they cared about was money, and their callous indifference to the value of human life cost a family of 4 their lives.
She says the sentences.
We can't bring the family back, but with the lengthy sentences imposed today, we can send a strong message. A message that human life does not have a price tag.
7 other members of the group survived. Only 2 made it to the van, which was stuck in snow. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Imagine a time when you have superhuman sight and can have night vision without bulky powered goggles. Well, that day is today. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
According to an article on SciTech Daily, scientists from China have created contact lenses that allow people to see infrared light, which is normally beyond the human vision spectrum. The most remarkable feature is that these lenses work differently from night vision goggles and do not require a power source. Additionally, because they're transparent, you can see both regular light and infrared light together. In fact, the wearers reported that the infrared light is actually better with your eyes closed. The senior author of the study, Tian Zhu, a neuroscientist from the University of Science and Technology in China, said there are many potential applications right away for this material. This could be used to transmit information, security, rescue or encryption operations, and to combat anti-counterfeiting. These nanoparticle contacts could even help people with colorblindness to see correctly for the first time. For more tech news, find me at chuckpalm.com.
Thursday Sports is in on America in the Morning. Here's Robert Workman.
For the 3rd year in a row, the Florida Panthers are on their way to the Stanley Cup Finals. They wrapped up the Eastern Conference with a 5-3 win over the Carolina Hurricanes last night, taking the series 4-1. Carter Verhaeghe zinged in the go-ahead goal with 7.5 minutes left, giving Florida a chance for back-to-back cups. Forward Matthew Tkachuk.
And that fresh energy and the guys that are fresh and hungry. You know, we're hungry coming back, obviously, but you get those new guys that help put you over the edge to get to this point right now. So got to give them a lot of credit.
The Panthers' opponent could be settled tonight. Game 5 in the West in Dallas. The Oilers going for the clincher over the Stars. That would set up a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Final. For the first time since 2012, the Oklahoma City Thunder are in the NBA Finals. They punched their ticket with an emphatic 124-94 romp over the Minnesota Timberwolves to wrap up the West Final 4-1. Julius Randle hit the game's first bucket, a 3-ball for the Wolves, but OKC scored the next 11 points and never looked back, leading by as many as 39. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 34 points and earned Western Finals MVP honors to go along with his league MVP. The NBA Finals begin 1 week from tonight in Oklahoma City. Tonight in the East in New York, the Pacers aim to punch their ticket to the final. The Knicks hoping to keep their season going. Baseball, another pitching clinic between the Rangers and the Blue Jays. Toronto wins 2-0 on Bo Bichette's pinch hit 2-run homer in the 9th. 5 Jays hurlers allowed just 1 hit. The two teams combined for just 7 runs in that 3-game series. The Yankees shut out the Angels 1-0. Clark Schmidt in the bars with a 5-hitter. Nationals rolled over the Mariners 9-0, hitting 4 dingers to back up the 5-hit pitching of Trevor Williams and company. Drew Rasmussen and the Rascals scattered 6 hits in the Rays' 5-0 whitewash of the Twins. Pirates drubbed the Diamondbacks 10-1. Paul Skeens lowered his ERA to 2.15 with 6 2/3 scoreless innings. He turns 23 today. Marlins overpowered the Padres 10-8. Rookie Agustin Ramirez with 4 hits and 4 RBI, including a home run. That's Thursday Sports.
The Dancing Nun, when America in the Morning continues after these messages. There have been 49 seasons of television's Survivor, and a new cast of people are hoping for immunity and more on season 50. Here's entertainment correspondent Kevin Carr.
Survivor fans are excited to find out who will be competing in the 50th season of the show before the 49th season even starts. Season 49 doesn't air until the fall, but CBS got ahead of the curve by announcing the Golden Anniversary cast. On Wednesday's CBS Morning, Survivor's host, Jeff Probst, was on hand to announce the names.
Casting Survivor 50 was kind of like casting the ultimate all-time movie.
All the contestants come from previous seasons, including one from the very beginning.
One of the original castaways
Jenna.
There are also contestants who have competed in multiple seasons before.
Returning for a record-tying 5th time, the beloved Serene. The original Jungle Boy also returning for a 5th time, Ozzy.
2 previous winners will be in the cast.
One of the overall most dominating players of the new era, the winner of 45, D. He's cunning, athletic, and charming, the winner of 48, Kyle.
And 2 contestants were left off the list because they are in the upcoming season 49. Finally, a celebrity in his own right, a big name at HBO, will be in the running.
In between writing and directing seasons of White Lotus, my wife.
He will be joined by a familiar face.
She loves negotiating with me, Angelina.
White had cast Angelina in season 2 of his hit HBO series, The White Lotus.
But he kept texting and saying, look, I'm serious. If you ever do anything where you have returning players, I want to play again.
I'm Kevin Carr.
They're not just your typical members of the Catholic Church. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a pair of nuns from Brazil who are gaining worldwide attention for their beatboxing skills.
2 nuns in Brazil have gone viral after dropping an impromptu beatbox and dance session. Sisters Mary Zel Cassiano and Marissa De Paula were on a Catholic TV program in Brazil, talking about a vocational retreat and a song about being called to the religious life. The 2 were singing, beatboxing, and dancing. Sister Mary Zell told the AP that moment was very spontaneous because with Sister Marissa, if you start a beat, she will dance. And I'm used to singing, to beatboxing. And for us, it was very simple. The sisters are dedicated to helping young people who are struggling with drug addiction. They say music is a powerful tool to help those in need. Sister Mary Zell has surpassed 100,000 Instagram followers since her beatboxing went viral. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning for Thursday, May 29th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.